everyone, and welcome to this yoga class where we're going to work on flexibility for all different parts of the body. And there's a couple of things that we really need to think about before we start. And the first thing is to think about how warm we are before we start the class. We're going to be doing lots of warm-ups and kind of stretching and opening and pumping the blood around the body as we move today, but we also need to consider how warm we are before the class. So just be mindful of that and avoid kind of forcing yourself and pushing yourself into any stretches or holding anything that doesn't feel right. And the second really important thing is to move with the breath. So if we can move with the breath, we allow the blood and the energy in the breath to flow through the body, which creates an opening and a lengthening. So if we really allow the breath to move through us and we allow the stretch to open with each breath, it will really allow us to be kind of feel more open and more supported in our flexibility class today. And the last thing I really want us to think about is just accepting where we are in the practice today. So sometimes accepting our strength or our flexibility can be quite a challenging thing because it's not necessarily where we want to be. But if we can accept ourselves today at this moment, then we can move forward. So try not to get caught up with thinking about, that you were more flexible last year or last week or, this morning, and just really accept where you are now and let's move from there together. So we're going to start today in a cross-legged position. So as always, you're going to want to elevate your seat. So you might want to get a cushion or a block. And if you place the cushion or the block underneath the seat, this is really just going to elongate the spine and elevate your seat where you are. So I'll allow you a few moments just to maybe grab a block or grab a cushion or a pillow. And then come to a really nice comfortable seated position. And we're just going to take a moment to close the eyes together. And as we close the eyes, place the palms onto the knees, palms facing down. Tuck the chin down slightly and take a really deep inhale, the deepest inhale you've taken all day. And as you exhale through the mouth, just let any expectation go, any judgments or anything that you need to do after the class. Take two more like this, inhaling through the nose, exhaling through the mouth, letting go of the day. Inhaling and exhaling through the mouth. So just come back to a normal breath, and as we come into stillness here, really try to inhale through the nose and exhale through the nose, but really trying to push into the belly to allow that full expansion of breath to move through the body. And as we start our practice together, I'd really like to focus on this idea of self-acceptance today. And sometimes self-acceptance can be a really, really challenging thing. And to accept ourselves on the mat, to accept our strength, our flexibility, our balance can be a very challenging thing as it changes daily, hourly, through years and through time, depending on how our life changes, our age, our life experience. And it can be really difficult sometimes to accept that change and accept how the body is different from day to day, hour to hour, year to year. And we can also take this idea off the mat. So how much do we reject ourselves or self-accept ourselves in different parts of our lives? When we're in our everyday life, in our jobs, in our conversations, in our relationships. Where do we really feel ourselves criticizing what we do, our actions? And can there come a point where we accept ourselves where we are in this moment and then choose to move forward? Perhaps to make a change as we move forward, rather than berating ourselves over the past, what we dislike about ourselves in the past, what we've done wrong, what we should have done differently. But can we accept ourselves where we are in this moment and then make a change moving forward? So just really take a moment to consider this idea of self-acceptance, not just on the mat today and in our flexibility, and not just in our bodies in this moment, but also going out off the mat and into our everyday life. Where can we bring more awareness into our self-acceptance? And where can we have more acceptance for ourselves and perhaps for others as well? So as we take a moment in silence, just remember to inhale through the nose and really try to elongate, so lengthen the exhale through the nose, really calming the nervous system and calming down the breath. Try to allow the forehead to relax, the jaw. Try to now breathe deep into the belly, still breathing in and out through the nose, but deepening the breath slightly. And as we start to lengthen and deepen the breath and begin the practice, let's try to take this idea of self-acceptance with us in every moment as we practice today. When we notice those judgments, when we notice those areas of stiffness, when we feel ourselves running to judge ourselves and to perhaps become angry at our bodies, really try to take a step back and notice how we feel and really have that awareness and come to the awareness that we can self-accept wherever we are today and wherever we are in our future lives. And from self-acceptance we can make change. So really try to notice that today. Where do we jump to judgment? Where do we berate ourselves and feel anger? And can we step back from that and accept? So on the next exhale, deepening the breath, just slowly blinking open the eyes, looking down towards the floor, allowing the eyes to adjust. Take a deep inhale and let's remove the block or the cushion from underneath the seat. And we're going to come to a nice cross-legged position. So let's take the left leg in front of us in our cross-legged position. Place the hands onto the knees and just inhale by pushing the chest forward slightly and lengthening the spine. Tucking the chin down slightly. Take a few deep inhales and exhales here as we just take a moment to root and ground into the earth. Take a deep inhale, looking up. And as we exhale, we walk the hands forward, just really slowly, moving the hands towards the floor as we come into a really gentle and deep hip stretch. Perhaps on each exhale, we can melt the chest down towards the floor. Inhaling to expand the body, exhaling to melt down towards the floor. And let's just take that idea of self-acceptance. So wherever we are today, if we're all the way down to the floor, if we're halfway up, or perhaps if we're just here with the fingertips on the floor, we think about this quote, begin where we are. So begin where you are. We can only start when we accept where we are in this present moment. So take a few more deep inhales in through the nose. And a few more melting downs on our exhales to the earth. And just feel that gentle hip opener in the left side of the hip. Perhaps also a really deep stretch in the lower spine. Perhaps in the shoulders. On the next inhale, let's walk the hands back up to center. And as we exhale, let's uncross the legs and take the right leg in front of us. Place the hands onto the knees, closing the eyes. Tuck the chin down, elongate the spine, push the chest forward slightly. Let's root and ground our seat into the earth as we feel supported, held and accepted by the earth around us. Take a deep inhale here. And as we exhale, let's kindly, gently walk our seat forward, placing the hands perhaps down towards the earth. Deeply inhaling to allow us to inflate. And as we exhale, we allow the body to melt down towards the earth. Allowing each inhale to inflate the belly, inflate the body, creating a small rippling motion. On the exhale, we melt down. So really allow the breath to move you here. The body should never be rigid when we breathe. We should allow the breath to inflate the body and allow it to deflate on the exhale. Perhaps take a moment in stillness here. Feeling that deep, gentle hip opening in the right hip. And on the next inhale, let's walk the hands back. Good. So on the next inhale, I'd just like to raise the arms up towards the ceiling. And as you exhale, place the right hand down towards the mat. So we're going to come into a gentle side stretch here as we inhale. But as we exhale, we're going to take it round all the way into a circle. And we're going to bring the right arm all the way over to come into a side stretch towards the left. So side stretching to the left on the inhale. And as we exhale, we take that right arm forward and we circle the body. We'll circle the arms all the way around, creating some beautiful opening in the shoulders and in the spine. Inhale to side stretch. Exhale to rotate. Inhaling to stretch to the left, looking upwards towards the ceiling. And exhaling down towards the mat. Inhaling to stretch. Exhaling to float all the way around and down, and start to just move with the breath in your own time. Allow the chest to expand as you look upwards, and allow yourself to deflate as you circle round. Moving in your own time with the breath. So here we're oiling the shoulder joints, we're oiling the spine with synovial fluid, allowing it to lubricate and warm up. So these gentle movements are a beautiful way to engage the muscles in the spine, to bring blood flow, to bring prana, which is the energy of the body. Prana is the energy and the life force. To bring it all the way through the body, but particularly the spine. Just a few more here. And on the next exhale, let's come to center, hands back onto the knees. Take a deep inhale in your central neutral spine. And a really deep exhale through the nose. On the next inhale, we're going to bring the palms of the hands to face the chest. The shoulders are relaxed and the elbows are facing outwards. So take a deep inhale and a deep exhale here. Find your comfortable position. And all we're going to do is do a really gentle warm up into the middle thoracic spine. And this is the part of the spine which is kind of the middle of the back. So I just adjust my position, which we don't often use very much. We don't often warm up, especially in Western life, because we're often hunching, we sit down a lot. So we don't warm it up, we don't create flexibility. So this is a really great exercise, is the word that I was looking for, to really create that warmth in the thoracic spine. So palms of the hands towards the chest. As we inhale, we turn to the left. As we exhale, we take the breath out. So as we inhale, we breathe in sharply. As we exhale, we breathe out sharply. So it looks a little bit like this. So try to keep going on your own here. You're just breathing in and out through the nose. And try to avoid really jutting into this twist, but try to move with the breath. So don't force or yank the spine, because actually this will create more tension. So we just want to move with the breath. Keep going. And as we do this breath is called breath of fire, and it allows the body to energize and heat up. It allows the prana, which is the life force, the breath and the energy, to move through the body, to stop that stagnant feeling in our bodies sometimes when we feel stagnant, tired and kind of dull. This breath of fire and this movement allows the prana and the energy to really warm up the whole body, but particularly the spine. So keep going here. If it's it's making you feel dizzy, you can close the eyes. And on the next exhale, let's come into stillness here. Place the hands down onto the knees, palms facing down. Inhale with the eyes closed. Exhale. Inhale. Noticing how the body feels slightly different. Perhaps you can feel that tingling, that energy. And exhale. Good. Blinking open the eyes. This time we're going to take the same position, but the palms are facing outwards. Okay? So this time we're going to turn to the right. And as we inhale, we're going to take breath of fire from right to left. So we inhale sharply to the right and exhale left. Okay? So, and once again, if it's making you feel dizzy, you can close the eyes here. And you might actually feel a real stiffness in the back here. Because, as I said, it's really a part of the back that we don't really open and use that much. And not even in yoga that much. So it's really important that we do find these openings. This is actually a Kundalini exercise. So if you know anything about Kundalini yoga, it talks about kind of this base, this energy at the base of the spine. So this is a really good way to kind of unlock the trapped dirt and energy at the base of the spine. So let's take a few more here, really warming up this spine. And on the next exhale, place the hands down onto the knees, closing the eyes. Inhale deeply. Exhale completely. Just take a moment of stillness here to notice perhaps how you feel. Good. And on the next inhale, let's just blink open the eyes, and we're going to clasp the hands behind the body, behind the back of the body. And just take a moment to really stretch out the shoulders. So I'm just going to adjust my position to allow you to see me a little bit better. So as you take a clasp and you roll the shoulders back, on each inhale, really try to just very gradually and slowly move the shoulders back a little bit further without creating a strain or too much of a push on the shoulders. Inhaling deeply. Exhaling completely. On the inhale, we're going to take both fists around towards the left hip and create a lovely stretch and twist in the body. So placing the hands onto the top of the left hip. Inhale deeply. Exhale completely. On the next inhale, twist the whole body towards the right side, leaving the arms where they are. Feel that really deep twist and opening in the spine. Inhale back to center. On the exhale, take it towards the right hip. Inhale deeply. Exhale. On the next inhale, twist towards the left side, creating a really beautiful opening in the shoulders, in the spine. Also chest opening. And as we inhale, let's take it back to center. One more really deep stretch here. And as we exhale, just take a moment to wiggle out the hips, wiggle out the spine, perhaps the neck. Find some free movement here on your own. So perhaps you want to just wiggle out the neck from side to side. And on the next inhale, let's come back to center. So from here, all we're going to do is we're going to just roll forward onto the fingers, and we're going to come into a plank pose. So if you can roll forward onto the hands, all you want to do is just step the knees back. So I'm just going to adjust my position slightly to allow you to see me. So you might want to come to tabletop first, or if you're happy, you can come straight into plank. We straighten the legs out, and we make sure that we are pushing strongly into the fingers, into the pads of the hands. We're pushing up into the shoulders. We're allowing a really nice straight spine. We don't allow the hips and the bum to flop down. We need to protect the spine by pushing upwards into the hands. Also try to avoid pushing the hips too high here. We really want to create that really long straight spine. So push the hips down, push the heels back down towards the floor. Feel that really strong opening in the shoulders. Take a deep inhale in here and a deep exhale. On the next inhale, we're going to take the left foot to the outside of the left hand. So inhale, it's going to come off the mat, and just take a moment to stay here, and we're going to start to work on some hip opening poses. So this won't only just open the hips, but it will also allow the spine to open, the neck as well, and the hamstrings. So inhale back to plank. Exhale, right hand and right foot come together. Take a few deep inhales. Exhaling. Inhaling. And exhaling back to plank pose. Good. Inhale, left foot to left hand. Inhale. Exhale. Breathe deeply here. Inhale. And exhale. Take the left foot back. Inhale. And as we exhale, we take the right foot to the outside of the right hand. Breathing deeply here for a few moments. Inhale. And on the next inhale, just come back to plank pose, and then just lower the knees down, come back and melt into child's pose. The seat comes down towards the heels. We melt the chest, the elbows, the forehead down towards the earth. So as you melt into your child's pose and you find stillness here, I really want you to think about, once again, this idea of self-acceptance. What parts of the body do we often reject in our everyday life? Which parts do we sort of hold separate from ourselves? Perhaps there's certain body parts that we don't like, there's certain muscles that don't work as well as we would like, there's stiffness in certain joints. And we can sometimes start to feel ourselves rejecting certain parts of our bodies. And when we do that, when we reject a certain body part, we stop loving and accepting ourselves wholly, and we hold something separate from ourselves. So what we have to try to do is kind of figure out actually which parts of the body do we reject or do we hold separate from ourselves, and start to gain that self-acceptance by perhaps working on those areas. Perhaps where there's tension, we spend a bit more time, care and love on the shoulders perhaps, or on the spine. Perhaps there are certain parts of the body that, we've spent years disliking. Well, we start to accept, why is it that we feel that dislike, or we feel such a resentment towards it? What's made us feel like that? We go to the root cause, and we spend a bit more time and love and care on that area. So as we move forward into the rest of the practice, let's really try to focus on this idea of self-acceptance, and also trying not to hold any body part or any muscle or any joint, ligament separate from ourselves. Okay, so take a few more breaths in your child's pose. And on the next inhale, we're just going to come up to tabletop pose. Neutral spine here. Hands underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips. So on the next inhale, all I'd like you to do is once again step the left foot outside of the left hand, but this time the right knee is bent. And what I'd like to do is just shuffle that right knee back a little bit. And we're going to come once again into some hip opening poses. So we're going to do some little waves here where we inhale, we tuck the back toes, and we lift the back knee off the floor. And as we exhale, we take that back knee down. So just really some beautiful little waves here. So inhaling to straighten that back leg. Exhaling to float down. Inhaling to straighten. Exhaling to float down. Keep going in your own time here. And just one more here. On the next inhale, let's straighten that back leg. We're going to come back into our plank pose, so creating warmth, heat and fire in the body. Inhale, take the left foot back to meet the right foot as we come into our plank pose. Pushing up into the hands, we create strength and stability in the hands and in the shoulders. We push up strongly. We don't allow the elbows to kind of weaken here. We don't allow the shoulders to kind of melt down. We push up strongly. We look forwards. And on the next exhale, we take the right foot outside of the right hand. We lower that left knee down. We shuffle the left foot and the left knee back a little bit. And we find our pose here. Take a deep inhale and a deep exhale here. On the next inhale, tuck the toes under the left leg. And straighten that left leg. And as we exhale, we float down to create some beautiful but subtle waves. So inhaling to straighten. Exhaling to float down. Inhaling to straighten. Exhaling to float down. Inhaling up. And as you exhale down now, try to move in your own time with your own breath, moving with your own rhythm of your own body. Really subtle but beautiful movements that really create a deep opening in a gentle and subtle way for the body. So just one more here. And on your next exhale, just take the right foot to meet the left as we come into plank pose. Stay in plank pose, find your grounding here, pushing up into the hands, gripping into the fingers. We're protecting the wrists, we're protecting the shoulders by pushing strongly into the earth. We don't allow the hips to sink or kind of flow up. We create a really strong, straight spine. We look forward. And on the exhale, we lower the knees down, we float back into our child's pose. And we take a few moments here in our child's pose, just to reconnect with the breath, to restabilize our nervous system here, and just take a few moments in stillness. So on the next inhale, we're going to float back up to our tabletop pose. Hands underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips. And once again, we're going to come into a very similar position. So this time we're going to inhale and take the right foot outside of the right leg. The left knee is bent. We're going to shuffle that left leg all the way back. On the inhale, we're going to take the right arm and float it up forwards in front of us, up towards the nose, up towards the ceiling, and all the way back to touch that left glute. As we inhale, we go all the way back and down. As we exhale, inhaling to go up, exhaling to go down to the glute. Inhaling to go up, exhaling to go down to the mat. Inhaling to go up, exhaling as we float down to the glute. Oiling the shoulders, inhaling up. Just move in your own time here. Move with the rhythm of your breath. And just really feel and notice this beautiful but gentle oiling of the shoulder joints and the warming of the hips. We're also creating strength in the left arm. So this is a full body experience here. And perhaps now we start to just increase the pace. So perhaps we inhale to go down, exhale to go up, inhale forward, exhale back, inhale forward, exhale back. And as we go back, just allow the hand to come to the glute and just hold the position here. Inhaling deeply and exhaling completely. On your next inhale, take the hand all the way down to the mat. Take the right foot back to meet the left foot in our tabletop pose, wiggling out the hips from side to side. Wiggling out the neck and the head. Perhaps moving back and forwards, perhaps taking the wrists off the mat. Just allowing the blood to move back into any of those joints. Free movement here, really important to know how to free up the joints, how to get the blood moving again. Okay, good. So we're going to come into that on the other side. So on an inhale, take the left foot outside of the left hand. Shuffle that right knee and that right foot all the way back. Take a deep inhale. exhale. On the inhale, we take the left arm up towards us, straight out in front, all the way up. As we reach the ceiling, we start to exhale all the way down to that right glute. Inhale back up to center, and exhale to float down to the mat. Inhale to float up to the center, exhale to float down to the glute. Inhale up to center, exhale to float down to the mat, and just move now with your own breath and your own time. Start to trust the rhythm of your breath and of your movement. And just a few more here. And on your next exhale, come back to center, float both of the arms down, step that left foot back to meet the right as we come into our plank pose, building fire, building strength and stability in the core and the shoulders and the spine. Rocking back and forward on the toes. Just allow yourself to build this strength and this heat. On the exhale, take the knees down, and this time we're going to float back into wide-legged child's pose. So take the knees out towards the mat, pointing out towards the sides. Big toes come to meet, and then we melt down into the hips. We walk the hands forward. We melt the forehead and the chest down towards the earth. If this isn't comfortable, you can take the chin to the earth. Find a moment of stillness here to reconnect with the breath. On the next inhale, let's walk the hands back. We're going to come into our tabletop pose once more. And just take a moment to find a cat-cow here. So inhaling, reaching the chest forward. Exhaling, pushing into the hands, arching the spine. Inhaling. Exhaling. Inhaling, one more. And exhaling. Good. Coming into your neutral spine. We're going to do some downward dog waves here. So all we're going to do is just tuck the toes under. We're going to make sure that we're pushing strongly into the hands. We're gripping into the fingertips to protect the wrists. And as we inhale, we're just going to float the sit bones and the hips back towards the earth. And we're just going to pedal out the feet for a moment. And on the exhale, we're going to float the knees all the way back down. So we're going to do down dog waves here. So as we inhale, we float up. And as we exhale, we float all the way back down. Inhale to float up. Exhale to float down. And start to move, inhaling. Exhaling, moving in your own time now with your own breath. Perhaps you move slower or faster. Starting to gently and subtly warm up the hamstrings here without forcing, without overstretching, without judging. And on your next down dog, let's stay in our downward dog. Just pedal out the feet for a moment. And then just come to stillness as you bend the knees slightly, really straighten the back. And really create a beautiful straight spine by really bending the knees here. So our aim of down dog is to create a beautiful straight spine rather than straight hamstrings. When we've got that beautiful straight spine, then we can start to just pedal out the feet and walk the heels back down towards the earth. And on the next exhale, let's float the knees back down. Let's come into our wide-legged child's pose, knees towards the side of the mat. We float all the way back, sit back onto the heels and float the hips, float the knees all the way back down. So as we once again come into our wide-legged child's pose, we really start to notice where the tightness is and observe the tightness in our bodies. We notice perhaps where we feel some annoyance, some stiffness, some anger, perhaps some rejection to certain parts. Or perhaps we start to notice this beautiful idea of self-acceptance. And perhaps that we notice that actually, despite the lack of flexibility or strength, that actually we can really accept ourselves where we are in this present moment. So take a few more deep inhales in here. And on the next inhale, let's walk ourselves all the way back to our tabletop pose. So hands underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips. Take a deep inhale, and as you exhale, just tuck the toes under. As you inhale, you're going to float the knees back up off the floor, push the sit bones back towards the ceiling as we come back into downward facing dog. Now as we come into down dog, this might be enough for you today just to stay here and just to practice working on pedaling out the feet. Beautiful. If that's for you, you stay with that. Or perhaps you want to take it further by creating some twists. So we just tap the left arm towards the right ankle and vice versa. So we start to create some opening in the spine as we twist slightly, remembering to inhale deeply and exhale fully. So what we're doing in this practice today is we're creating flexibility at the same time as warming up the body and creating strength. It's very difficult to create full flexibility without strength and warming up the body. So it's really important to be actively stretching and moving when you're creating that flexibility. So just take a few more here or wherever you are in your down dog. And on the next exhale, just come back to your stable down dog. On the inhale, we're going to take the left hand towards the right ankle. We're just going to hold it there for a few moments. Exhale back to center. This time, right arm goes towards the left leg. Inhaling deeply. Exhaling completely. Back to center. Either stay here in down dog, or perhaps you want to lower the knees if you want to rest, or come with me for a little bit further. Take the left hand towards the right ankle. Inhale. Exhale. Swap. Right towards left. Inhale. Exhale. One more round. Left towards right. Inhale. Exhale. You're doing so well here. Inhale. Swap. Exhale. And as you come to inhale, just come back into your downward facing dog, your full down dog. Or perhaps if you're resting in child's pose, you can stay there. But wherever you are, just take a moment to take 2 deep breaths in stillness. Either in down dog or child's pose. One more. And wherever you are, we're going to meet once again into wide-legged child's pose. Knees come towards the side of the mat. We float the body all the way down, melt towards the earth. Perhaps the left cheek or the right cheek goes towards the mat. Perhaps the chin, perhaps the forehead. Find what feels nice here. And find a moment of stillness to reconnect with the breath. Perhaps you can notice some more warmth and energy moving through the body into different parts. Good, so on the next inhale, let's walk the hands back. And we're going to walk the hands back all the way towards the knees. And then we're going to tuck the toes under here. So we're going to tuck the toes under. We're going to come to stand even onto our flat feet into Malasana Yogi Squat. So the feet are pointing outwards towards the side of the room. Your knees are over your toes and your heels, and you're going to use the elbows to inhale and push the knees outwards to create a really beautiful deep opening stretch in the hips. Perhaps you bring the hands to prayer pose. So as you come into Malasana, take a deep inhale, and as you exhale, just try to push the knees open gradually and gently in a self-accepting way without really forcing or yanking the hips open. Try to create a really straight spine from the crown of the head to the tailbone, so perhaps just gaze down slightly to tuck the chin down. So you're going to stay exactly where you are and take a few more deep inhales. I'm just going to move my position to allow you to see me a little bit better as we come into our next flow. So on the next inhale, really pushing into the knees. And as you exhale, this time we're going to float the right arm inside of that right foot. And as you inhale, you're going to float the left arm up towards the ceiling. And as you exhale, you're going to swap, so left palm goes inside of the left foot. And then you're going to float the right arm up. Inhale to go up, exhale to float down. And then start to create a beautiful flowing rhythm. So inhaling, exhaling, move in time with your own rhythm of breath. Exhaling to float down. Beautiful opening the hips and the spine once more. And as you next time you take the left hand up, leave the left hand up towards the ceiling, look up. Twist the left hand, so the palm of the hand is facing backwards, and take it to your lower spine, the lumbar spine, and just hold it there and create a little bit of a twist. Look towards the left shoulder, look over that left shoulder. Inhaling deeply, exhaling completely. Let's float both of the hands down towards the center. Take a deep inhale and a deep exhale. On the next inhale, you're going to float the right hand up towards the ceiling, looking upwards. As you exhale, let's twist that right palm so the palm goes towards the back of the room. Take it towards the lower lumbar spine. Leave it there and just twist, looking over that right shoulder. Creating a subtle but gentle twist. And as you exhale, float the hands down, look down towards the hands. So stay here and just take a moment to rest here in this position. If you're feeling it's a lot of pressure on the hips, you might just want to straighten the knees a little bit and just wiggle the hips from side to side, depending on your hip strength, flexibility and openness. Perhaps you just want to release that really lovely hip stretch by just opening the hips, wiggling them from side to side. So feel free to do that, or if you want to take more of a deep hip opening, you stay in your Malasana Yogi squat. So you take the next few seconds to find what's nice for you. I'm going to adjust my position. So wherever you are, whether you're wiggling to release or perhaps you're holding that deep stretch, we're going to come back now into our Malasana. So we're going to, once again, take the hands into prayer, push the hands, opening the knees here. Take a deep inhale. And as you exhale, I just want you to plant the hands down in front of you. Palms are wide open. Then you're going to wiggle the feet in. So the toes are directly behind the wrist, but there's a bit of space between them. Okay, so the knees are bent and we're looking down in between the hands. So we're going to practice just working with crow pose here. Now there's no expectation, there's no judgment. We're just playing, yoga is just about practice. So all we're going to do is just inhale. And as we exhale, we're going to bend the knees and take the knees towards the armpits. Okay, so you can just play around with practicing that, straightening the legs, bending. And then as you get a bit more confident, you can practice bending the knees and putting a bit of pressure onto the armpits, into the armpits. So just play around with that for a moment. See how that feels, experiment. Yoga is about being experimental, about playful, about discovering the body. And then what you might want to do is just stop for a moment. So you can either listen or you might want to look. So as you inhale, Palms of the hands are flat to the floor, feet are flat. As you exhale, you're going to bend the knees, and perhaps you have a go at bringing the knees to the armpits and taking the weight to the armpits, and then play with taking one foot off the floor and then the other. Squeezing the feet, looking in front of you, coming into your crow pose, and then play with just floating down. So just have a play around, no expectation. And if this is too much for you, perhaps you just play around with just taking a bit of weight slightly onto the elbows, perhaps into the shoulders, and see what you can practice and accomplish, achieve today with no expectation, no judgment. And if you can, just float up into your crow. Stay here for a few moments and then float back down. Good, wherever you are, let's take it back to child's pose. Take the knees to meet, float all the way down, chest towards the earth. And just let that go. No expectation, no judgment. It's so easy to get caught up in these kind of self-deprecating thoughts when we can't achieve what we think we should. We compare ourselves to other people or to what we were. And what we just have to realise is that we can let those ideas and let those thoughts go. So whenever we're feeling that negativity, we can really just think, this is where I am today and this is what I have to accept. So take a few more deep inhales and exhales in your child's pose. Take a few moments of stillness, really closing the eyes, noticing where the breath and where the mind is at. So on the next inhale, we're going to meet back from our child's pose into our tabletop pose. Hands underneath the shoulders, knees are underneath the hips, and all we're going to do is tuck the toes under on an inhale, and on the exhale we're going to float the legs and straighten the legs, coming into downward facing dog, pedaling out the feet. We're going to come into our last kind of really strong, flexible, warming activity. So all we're going to do is just outstretch the left leg behind us, inhale, and as you exhale, step that left foot in between the hands, take the right knee down towards the floor as we come into our low lunge, inhaling to take the arms up towards the ceiling. Check the left knee is behind the left ankle. Feel that beautiful deep stretch in the right hip flexor. Inhale deeply. Exhale completely. Inhale. And exhale. All we're going to do here is just tuck that back toe under. So tuck the right toe under. And as you inhale, you're just going to straighten that back leg. And as you exhale, you're going to bend that leg. So we're once again creating warmth and flexibility. Inhale to straighten. Exhale to bend. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. And as you exhale, come all the way back down. Frame the front foot. Step the left foot to meet the right into downward facing dog. This time on the inhale, straighten the right leg out behind you. As you exhale, step it in between the hands, lower the left knee down. Inhale to straighten the arms up as we come into our low lunge. Check that that right knee is behind the right ankle. The tailbone is rooting down towards the earth, so we avoid arching or rounding the spine. We take a deep inhale and a deep exhale. As we inhale, we tuck the toe and we straighten that back leg. And as we exhale, we float all the way back down, creating strength and flexibility. Inhale. Exhale to bend. Inhale. Exhale to bend. Inhale. Try to smile here. Exhale to bend. Don't take it too seriously. Inhale. Exhale to bend. Frame the front foot. Step it all the way back to downward facing dog, pedaling out the feet. Good. So inhale the left foot and the left leg out behind you, create that lovely deep stretch. And then step it all the way through into your low lunge, lower that right knee down. Inhale the arms up, just as we did before into our low lunge. Inhale and exhale. On the next inhale, we're going to come to bring our hands into prayer pose at the chest. And as we exhale, we're going to twist towards that left knee, and we're going to take our right elbow toward the outside of the left leg, the left knee. And we're going to create a beautiful twist here, twisting into the spine. Inhaling deeply, exhaling completely. And either we stay here, and we really just work into straightening the spine and then deepening the twist on each exhale. Or if you want to take it further, you can tuck those right toes under, and on the inhale you can straighten that left knee out, push the right heel back towards the earth to create real stability here. And inhale and exhale. Good. On the next exhale, lower that right knee down towards the earth. Frame the front foot. Inhale, step the left foot to meet the right. Pedal out the feet, downward facing dog. You're doing so well as we come towards the end of the practice here. We've worked really hard. We inhale the right leg up towards the ceiling. We step it in between the hands. We lower that left knee down. We inhale to come into our low lunge. Arms go towards the ceiling. We inhale, we exhale. On the inhale, we bring the hands into prayer at the chest. And as we exhale, we twist towards the right side, so the left elbow goes towards the outside of that right knee. And we exhale out. Inhaling to straighten. Exhaling to twist. And either we stay here, if this is nice for us, and we feel that this is deep enough, or if we want to take it further, we inhale, we tuck the left toes, and we straighten that back leg. Inhaling, exhaling, inhaling. And as we exhale, lower that left knee down, frame the front foot, step it back to downward facing dog. Our final downward facing dog of the day, pedaling out the feet, and let's just take a moment to take 2 deep breaths in stillness here, rotating the shoulders outwards towards the side of the room, pressing up into the pads of the fingers to protect the wrists, really pushing back to straighten the spine, allow the head to release. Inhaling deeply, and let's exhale through the mouth here, letting the practice go, letting the expectation, letting the judgment go. On the next inhale, let's float the knees down. Let's come to our bums, and then we're going to find a comfortable position as we float down onto the back. Roll all the way down onto the spine. Taking your time, no rush. Keeping the knees bent, we're going to come into a semi-supine position, so soles of the feet are on the floor, knees are bent. And as you inhale, just bring the knees into the chest. Clasp the arms around the knees and give yourself a really big hug. Thank yourself for the practice today. Give yourself that acceptance, that love, that gratitude. Let go of the clasp, but keep the feet up. We're going to take the feet up towards the ceiling, so soles of the feet are facing upwards, knees are coming outwards. Either we stay here and we take the hands underneath the knees, if that's enough for us, or perhaps the shins, or the ankles, or perhaps the outsides of the feet. We want to push the lower lumbar spine down onto the earth. And as we inhale and exhale, we rock from side to side, releasing the spine, releasing all that pressure in the hips. We've worked a lot on the hips today to create a real deep flexibility and deep opening here. Perhaps straighten out one leg, perhaps straighten out the other. And just find some free movement. And in these last few moments, if there's anything else you want, anything else that you need in this movement here, perhaps you want to take a twist, Perhaps you want to hug yourself again. Perhaps you need some shoulder rolls, whatever it is that you feel. Just take a moment to find that last pose, that last stretch. And then we float all the way down together into Shavasana. So palms facing upwards, outwards away from the body, the feet are hip width apart, the eyes are closed. We tuck the chin down just slightly, only slightly, to allow the spine to elongate, and we just allow the body to really melt into the earth here. And as we find stillness, we take this moment once again to really give thanks and gratitude for turning up today, for practicing, for opening the heart and the mind, and also for opening the muscles, and for finding that flexibility. Allowing the hips and the pelvis to really be held and supported by the earth here. Allowing the upper spine, the middle spine, and the lower spine to be fully supported by the earth. The wrists and the fingers, the shoulders, the neck and the back of the head, the knees and the thighs, the ankles and the feet. Finally feeling that real deep opening from the crown of the head all the way down to the feet. We feel that deep opening, lengthening that we've created in the practice today. We feel the energy, the prana that's moved through the body. And we just allow ourselves to be held here in stillness. And give yourself this time here in stillness and silent reflection. Really to consider how you will go off the mat today and build more of this idea, this concept of self-acceptance into our everyday life, into our thought patterns, into our behaviours, into our relationships and conversations with others. How will we begin to bring this idea of self-acceptance into every part of our lives? So take a deep inhale in through the nose and out through the mouth. And if you've got time today, stay here for another 5-10 minutes and really allow yourself to melt into the earth. Perhaps switch off the video and allow yourself some own relaxation time here. And if you're going to do that today, then namaste, thank you and well done, and enjoy your beautiful Shavasana. Or if you're moving with me today, we're going to take a deep inhale in through the nose. And as you exhale, we're going to wiggle the fingers and wiggle the toes slightly. Just perhaps a slight wiggle in the hips. And perhaps in the neck. And then start to move the wrists, the elbows, the feet and perhaps the knees, keeping the eyes closed. And then start to just move the legs from side to side, perhaps bending the knees. Windshield wiping the legs, taking the knees from side to side. Creating release in the lumbar lower spine and in the hips. And then just rolling over onto that right side. Allow yourself to be held on the side. Stay here for a few moments, no rush. Allow the blood pressure to restabilize. Allow yourself to come back into contact with the world. To re-energize the body. And on the next inhale, let's push ourselves up very slowly, up into a cross-legged position. Hands onto the knees. Eyes closed. We take a moment to thank ourselves once more and to really consider how we move into a more self-accepting life, a self-accepting world. We take the hands to prayer. We lower the forehead down to the earth. We say namaste. Opening the eyes. Well done for this beautiful practice and thank you. Have a really lovely day.